Tuesday, March 4. The Case of Job. In the book of Job, we are given some fascinating insights into the reality of the great controversy. Read Job 1, verses 1 to 12, and Job 2, verses 1 to 7. And what principles of the great controversy do we see unveiled here? Job chapter 1. In the land of Uz there lived a man whose name was Job. This man was blameless and upright. He feared God, and he shunned evil. He had 7 sons and 3 daughters, and he owned 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels, 500 yoke of oxen, and 500 donkeys. And he had a large number of servants. He was the greatest man among all the people of the East. His sons used to hold feasts in their homes on birthdays, and they would invite their 3 sisters to eat and drink with them. When a period of feasting had run its course, Job would make arrangements for them to be purified. Early in the morning, he would sacrifice a burnt offering for each of them, thinking, "Perhaps my children have sinned and cursed God in their hearts." This was Job's regular custom. One day, the angels came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan also came with them. The Lord said to Satan, "Where have you come from?" Satan answered the Lord, "From roaming throughout the earth, going back and forth on it." Then the Lord said to Satan, "Have you considered my servant Job? There's no one on earth like him. He's blameless and upright, a man who fears God and shuns evil." "Does Job fear God for nothing?" Satan replied. "Have you not put a hedge around him and his household and everything he has? You've blessed the work of his hands so that his flocks and herds are spread throughout the land. But now stretch out your hand and strike everything he has, and he will surely curse you to your face." The Lord said to Satan, "Very well then, everything he has is in your power, but on the man himself do not lay a finger." Then Satan went out from the presence of the Lord. Chapter 2. On another day the angels came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan also came with them to present himself before him. And the Lord said to Satan, "Where have you come from?" Satan answered the Lord, "From roaming throughout the earth, going back and forth on it." Then the Lord said to Satan, "Have you considered my servant Job? There is no one on earth like him. He is blameless and upright. He's a man who fears God and who shuns evil. And he still maintains his integrity, though you incited me against him to ruin him without any reason." "Skin for skin," Satan replied. "A man will give all he has for his own life. But now stretch out your hand and strike his flesh and bones, and he will surely curse you to your face." The Lord said to Satan, "Very well then, he is in your hands, but you must spare his life." So Satan went out from the presence of the Lord and afflicted Job with painful sores, from the soles of his feet to the crown of his head. Many significant details can be gleaned from these verses. First, there appears to be some kind of heavenly council scene, not merely a dialogue between God and Satan. Other celestial beings are involved. Second, there is some existing dispute, signalled by the fact that God asks whether Satan has considered Job. Considered Job for what? The question makes sense in the context of a larger, ongoing dispute. Third, while God declares Job blameless, upright, and God-fearing, Satan claims that Job appears to fear God only because God protects him. This amounts to slander, both against Job's character and God's. Fourth, Satan alleges that God's protection of Job, that is the hedge, is unfair and makes it impossible for Satan to prove his allegations. This indicates some existing limits on Satan, that is, rules of engagement, and that Satan has apparently tried to harm Job. God responds to Satan's accusation before the heavenly council by allowing Satan to put his theory to the test, but only within limits. He first grants Satan power over all that he has, but prohibits personal harm to Job. Later, after Satan claims that Job cares only about himself, God allows Satan to afflict Job personally, but Satan must spare his life. Satan brings numerous calamities against Job's household, yet in each case Job continues to bless his name, thereby falsifying Satan's charges. We may learn many things here, such as that there are rules of engagement in this cosmic conflict. There are parameters in the heavenly court within which the allegations raised against God can be settled, but without God violating the sacred principles inherent in love, which is the foundation of God's government and how he rules the universe and the intelligent beings in it. These heavenly scenes in the book of Job offer us a fascinating insight into the reality of the great controversy and how it is being played out here on earth.
Tuesday, March 4. The Case of Job. It was generally believed by the Jews that sin is punished in this life. Every affliction was regarded as the penalty of some wrongdoing, either of the sufferer himself or of his parents. It is true that all suffering results from the transgression of God's law, but this truth had become perverted. Satan, the author of sin and all its results, had led men to look upon disease and death as proceeding from God, as punishment arbitrarily inflicted on account of sin. Hence, one upon whom some great affliction or calamity had fallen had the additional burden of being regarded as a great sinner. God had given a lesson designed to prevent this. The history of Job had shown that suffering is inflicted by Satan and is overruled by God for purposes of mercy. The Desire of Ages, page 471. A guardian angel is appointed to every follower of Christ. These heavenly watchers shield the righteous from the power of the wicked one. This Satan himself recognized when he said, "Doth Job fear God for naught? Hast not thou made an hedge about him, and about his house, and about all that he hath on every side?" Job chapter 1, verses 9 and 10. The agency by which God protects his people is presented in the words of the psalmist. The angel of the Lord encampeth round about them that fear him, and delivereth them. Psalm 34, verse 7. The angels appointed to minister to the children of God have at all times access to his presence. Thus God's people, exposed to the deceptive power and unsleeping malice of the prince of darkness and in conflict with all the forces of evil, are assured of the unceasing guardianship of heavenly angels. Nor is such assurance given without need. If God has granted to his children promise of grace and protection, it is because there are mighty agencies of evil to be met, agencies numerous, determined, and untiring, of whose malignity and power none can safely be ignorant or unheeding. The Great Controversy, pages 512 and 513. The enemy cannot overcome the humble learner of Christ, the one who walks prayerfully before the Lord. Christ interposes himself as a shelter, a retreat from the assaults of the wicked one. The promise is given, "When the enemy shall come in like a flood, the Spirit of the Lord shall lift up a standard against him." Satan was permitted to tempt the too confident Peter, as he had been permitted to tempt Job. But when that work was done, he had to retire. Had Satan been suffered to have his way, there would have been no hope. he would have made complete shipwreck of faith. But the enemy dare not go one hairbreadth beyond his appointed sphere. There is no power in the whole satanic force that can disable the soul that trusts in simple confidence in the wisdom that comes from God. My Life Today, page 316.
And remember, God is always faithful.